Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, she is an expert in conflict resolution, and she loves to work with kids. Her incredible story just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I've always had a soft spot for teachers. I think there's no more thankless job than being a teacher right now. And think about all the pressures, from parents, from the kids, even the administration can become a hassle for the teacher herself or himself. But sometimes they need another voice, an outsider, to come in and resolve that conflict. Sherry G. Brown is in the studio. She is an expert in conflict resolution. Thanks for coming on the show.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, I want you to share a little bit of your journey, because you were telling me before the show that as a child you were bullied.
Yes, as a child, for as long as I can remember, as a child I was bullied in school, all the way throughout most of high school I was bullied. Children were very mean and ugly to me. They weren't very accepting to me because I was just different. Being outside, because it was a small town and mostly everybody knew everybody, and coming in from outside, people didn't know me, so they took a shot at me.
And it gives you great empathy for some of the kids you work with. You were telling me a story about a classroom that you were passing by.
Yes.
Will you share that?
Yes. Well, one day when I was at work, because I was a substitute teacher at a ISD, and I passing by the room because I heard a lot of commotion. I knocked on the door. Teacher came to the door frustrated and flustered and everything, and I looked in, and most of the class was on one side of the room, and then there was a child on the other side who had turned over his desk and threw his chair across the room and was very upset and angry and was crying and hollering. And I motioned for him to come on out, and once the teacher closed the door, he was still crying. And I was telling him, I said, you have a whole adult here ready to listen. I'm here to listen. I'm here to listen. I have to keep saying that until, he calmed down enough to share with me what was going on.
And let's talk about the magic that you performed there, because other people might have come in and started to be combative. You actually calmed down the situation by listening.
Yes.
Talk about the power of listening.
Ooh, the power of listening. Active listening, because I was getting him to calm down. Plus, I was watching him as he was breathing, as he was trying to calm himself down, and I just stayed engaged with him. And the power of that is he was able to see that I cared. Empathy has lost its place in a lot of different settings and situations. And I just showed the child empathy. I showed him that someone cared enough to want to listen, especially an adult. That's why I kept telling him, have a whole adult wanting to listen to you.
Wow, I can see why you're so talented. We've got some video from our library of kids kind of arguing and mixing it up, and let's talk about this younger generation, because you got bullied as a kid. I remember I got slightly bullied when I was a kid. These days, you can't even escape the bullying. It's on social media. It's probably more difficult to be a kid these days, wouldn't you say?
Yes, I think so, because in the digital age that we live in, you can just take a picture and it's like it's news for them. It's like them being important, being special, because they got they caught themselves on video, and it's just sad that that's the age we live in now, that people are capitalizing on other people's pain, and it has trickled down to our children, that they're capitalizing. They want to see that you suffer, and they put it out there for everybody to see that you're suffering, and everybody's laughing at you, and it's not fair.
In school districts, I mean, they have guidance counselors, they have obviously great teachers, but you fill a very necessary void, don't you?
Yes, because the teachers are stretched. There's not enough counselors in the schools. And I come in as someone who has outside eyes, who has not been swayed one way or the other for the teacher's sake or the child's sake. I just come in to see the situation as it is and let them know that there's a listening ear, someone who does not know all of what's going on, but someone who can be, what's the word?
Objective?
Objective, yes,
Yeah.
That's the word.
And as I'm watching you, this is a ministry for you, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Tell us why it's so near and dear to your heart.
It's so near and dear because I hate to see, besides the fact of me being bullied, I just hate to see children being bullied for no reason, and other children think it's funny. And you never know where someone's coming from or where they're going. There have been many children that come to school that hasn't had anything to eat or don't wear the latest fashions, and they have children making fun of them and stuff, and it's not fair. I grew up with children like that. Like I said, I was from a small town. So there were a lot of children that came to school that didn't have. And it's not fair. It's not right. Empathy and compassion needs to be taught. It's not something that people acquire because we just live in a different world these days.
Yeah. Sherry, you're so profound. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We're going to end with her LinkedIn page, Sherry G. Brown. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.